leaves for political expediency.
Yeah. I have a question from the audience for both of you. Mr. Burns, we'll start with you. Approximately what % of your campaign's funding has come from donors living in our district?
I don't really know the answer to that. I would say probably, probably, I would say at this point probably half of our funding, probably. That's a great question. If I had my ethics report here, I would lay it out for you. I wasn't expecting that question, so I'm ill prepared. But we have managed to raise a lot of money locally through small donations and a lot of big donations. We've had a lot of local associations like the Burleson Firefighters Association or the Farm Bureau, whatever, different organizations that are local, those associations that have contributed to our campaign. But a lot of it is statewide associations that contribute, such as the Texas Firefighters Association or the Texas Municipal Police Officers Association. They do those endorsements and contributions based on the recommendations of local boards and local folks. The realtors, for example, Texas Association of Realtors have endorsed us and contributed to our campaign, but that was only after meeting with local realtors and obtaining the endorsement and the okay from the Johnson County Association of Realtors and other realtors in our area. So the same thing with the Texas Medical Association. Those guys work in conjunction with doctors locally. I couldn't have gotten their endorsement if I hadn't had recommendation from doctors that live among me. Is that my 30 seconds? Okay. And there's no question about it. We have obtained significant contributions to the campaign from associations, but I am proud of the fact that most of those have come because they are based on local recommendations from folks that are in that industry, our neighbors.
All right, thank you. Mr. Evie?
I honestly could not tell you. I have not ran that number myself either. I can tell you this, that the vast majority of the contributions I've received are from individuals, and they're individuals that are very, very conservative individuals worried about the direction of our state. I believe last election I received something like 500 different unique individual donations from individuals. And this election it's well over 300. So I don't know the actual percentage, and I'm not going to venture a guess, but I know that most of the contributions I have received are from individuals.
Okay. Let's slightly change gears for a moment. With the Iowa caucus next week kicking off the primary trail, Republicans and Democrats alike have called the 2016 presidential election one of the most important in recent history. Worldwide unrest as well as dissatisfaction with our leadership and our role in the world today will impact how voters vote in this election. With the importance of the presidential election in mind, Mr. Burns, when selecting a man or woman to lead this country as president, what qualities will you be looking for? And which president in your lifetime do you think best emulates what this country needs today?
I tell you what, I'll be looking for someone that is honest, someone that puts others before themselves, someone that knows our Constitution, someone that is not afraid to stand up for what they believe in, someone that has experience, someone that knows business, someone that knows how to persevere through trials. And I'm not ashamed to say that I sit on the statewide leadership committee for Senator Ted Cruz, and he's the kind of person that I would support. Ultimately, I'm going to support the Republican who wins, because we just cannot have Hillary or, God forbid, Bernie Sanders as our president. And so whoever the Republican nominee is, I'm going to throw my full support behind. However, I think that someone like Ted Cruz would be the kind of person that I would be looking for as my president.
You got a couple of seconds here. The second part of that was, what president in your lifetime do you feel like emulates what you want as a president?
I am going to go with, and I'm at an advantage because I'm older here, but I would say Ronald Reagan. I mean, he was the man. As I was growing up, I remember being my first president that I was fully aware of as a young man, making a difference, making a change, and standing up for conservative principles and Reaganomics. If you all know trickle-down Reaganomics, the first idea that when we when we let taxpayers keep their money, that the economy grows. We can't grow it as a government by taxing people out of poverty. And, that always stuck with me, and I would say Ronald Reagan.
All right, Steve,
Can you
same
repeat the
question.
question? Can you repeat the question?
You betcha. When selecting a man or woman to lead this country as president, what qualities will you be looking for? And which president in your lifetime do you think best emulates what this country needs today?
I think that we need somebody that has strong faith, has integrity and honesty, but one of the most important aspects of the president is somebody that takes his oath of office very, very seriously. We swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution just to run for office. And yet we have presidents for decades who have routinely violated that oath. And it's not that hard to read Article 1, Section 8, see what the Congress is allowed to do, read the rest of it, and see what the president's powers are. And very, very often the president and the Congress violate that oath. So I think that we need men and women in office who take their oath very seriously and hold to their oath, even if it's not the politically expedient thing to do, but they actually keep their word in that issue. And it's a very, very easy question for me as to which president was the best in my lifetime. That is absolutely Ronald Reagan. My other options are Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and the Bushes. So Ronald Reagan is definitely an easy choice.
All right, thank you. Well, Mr. Burns, you pretty much already answered my next question, but I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot anyway. If the Texas primary were held tomorrow, who would you vote for as the Republican nominee for president and why?
I would vote for Ted Cruz. I was a Rick Perry supporter early on because I'm a loyal guy, and he gave me a start way back 20 years ago. Took me on as an intern and allowed me to work with him and bring us out of the Ann Richards administration, as he called it, and give the government back to the people. And he told me specifically, Dwayne, your job is to help us get government out of people's lives, and that's what we did. And I haven't ever stopped that. I haven't ever forgot that. But when Rick Perry decided not to run any further, I was contacted by Senator Cruz's team. They liked what they saw in me, and they asked me if I would stand on their statewide leadership team, and I'm honored to do that, and I am going to be loyal to my commitment to him, and that's who I'll vote for.
All right, thank you. Mr. Eby?
I honestly have tried to stay the best out of the presidential race because I have my own race to run. However, I have a huge amount of respect for Ted Cruz. He's one of the few people in my lifetime that I've ever voted for that has not turned out to be a gross disappointment. And it's simply because he does what he said he was going to do. And it doesn't even matter if you disagree with him on an issue. At least you know you're getting what he said he was going to do. So I really, really like Ted Cruz, and if I had to make the decision, that's probably who I would choose tomorrow.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for the answers and your time. We'll now move to closing statements, and we'll begin with Mr. Burns.
We're going to be faced with some tough decisions this election cycle. Some of them are going to be so tough. Some of them are. I would just encourage you to pray about it, to seek guidance, pray for our country, pray for Philip, pray for myself, pray for our families. Like I said earlier, it's been an honor to serve you. I plan on going back to Austin and doing exactly what I did last time, and that is fulfill the promises I made to you. I am going to be conservative, I'm going to follow my convictions, and I'm going to follow the will of my constituents as long as they're in line with the Constitution and with the Holy Bible. This is a ministry for me. I don't take it lightly. I look forward to serving. Even Jesus said in Mark 10:45 that he was not sent here to be served, but to serve, and give his life for the ransom of many. And if he is to be my example, then that's what I'm here to do. That's what we're all here to do. Whether we like it or not, you're in a ministry, no matter what your location, no matter what your circumstances, no matter what you're dealing with. And that's the way I view the position. If you'd like somebody that's going to view it in that way, I would encourage you to vote for me, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
As I said before, we're in a state of moral cardiac arrest in this nation, and we need people that will stand up and fight for conservative principles. And all too often that means doing things that have political, personal consequences. And one of the biggest issues we face right now has to come back to the Speaker's race in the Texas House of Representatives. Conservative policy consistently dies in the Texas House despite an overwhelming majority of Republicans in there. We need individuals that will stand up and fight for conservative principles and not cave to pressure from the lobby or any other group that is trying to influence them. And I hope nobody here feels like anything I've said is ragging on Mr. Burns. I like Dwayne. He's a very nice guy, and I have nothing personally against him. I voted for Dwayne Burns in the general election. But I believe that we can never get ahead by compromising who we are. And by voting for the leadership that we have in Austin, we will never get ahead. We will continue to suffer defeat after defeat after defeat as conservative policy withers away on committees, never coming to the House floor for a vote. It doesn't matter what people vote on the floor so much as it matters how they work behind the scenes, because every Republican votes for conservative measures on the floor. We can count on every Republican to vote for conservative measures on the floor. We need individuals that will work behind the scenes and stand up to the machine that is in power in Austin. It's the same machine that is in power in Washington. Until we stand up and take that on and take the punishment that comes with it from the lobby and the other groups, we will never see success. Are we happy with having the most conservative session in Texas history when we're comparing it to when Ann Richards was governor? Or do we want to have the most conservative session that we possibly can have? Do we want to end sanctuary cities? Do we want to end in-state tuition for illegals? Do we want to block abortion? The 7 strongest pro-life bills this session all died in the House without a vote on the floor. We need conservatives that will fight against that machine, and until we get people that do the right thing, regardless of the consequences, we will never, ever get control of the House with solid conservatives. So that's why I'm running. I like Dwayne. I wish him the best. I hope you all keep both of us in our prayers. This is one of the hardest things you'll ever do in life. It's very, very ugly, and I'm sure Dwayne's experienced it just like me. One day you meet somebody that loves you, the next day you meet someone that calls you the biggest piece of trash you've ever seen in your entire life. We're fighting for our very nation and for our very country, and if we don't start electing uncompromising individuals, we will never get it. I hope you all will keep me in mind. I'm not doing this because I want credit. I'm not doing this because I want glory. I could not care less if I get credit for anything I do. I care about conservative policy and moving the state of Texas in the direction that it needs to go, and that's all I care about. So I will never have a school named after me, probably. I will probably never get credit for most of the things I do if I'm elected. But I will always fight for conservative principles, and I will always fight for you. So I really would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Turn it back over to Dan.